Hello, everyone. I believe we are live. My name is Matthew. Good morning, good afternoon to all our viewers. My name is Matthew Thomas, and I am the Marketing Manager for Student Connect Nigeria branch. And very soon we'll be having Chizoba Igweonu, the Regional Recruitment Manager for the West Africa, to join us shortly. So please just bear with us while she joins in. Thank you. So just a quick heads up, this is going to be a 30-minute session followed by a 10 minutes questionnaires from our viewers. So get your questions ready and of course we'll be sure to answer all of them. While we wait for Chizoba, please feel free to share the link with your friends and tell them to tune in and join in on this live session. And we promise it's going to be very informative and it's going to be an interactive session. So be prepared. Please, if you're having any issues hearing me, please let me know. Thank you. I believe For those of you just joining us, my name is Matthew Thomas, and like I said, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're joining us from. I am the marketing manager for Student Connect Nigeria branch, and with me today, of course, will be Chizoba Igweonu, the regional recruitment manager. I believe I'm in, so let's get that all set up. Hello,
Hi,
Chizoba.
can you hear me? Hi.
Yes. Hi, Chizoba. I can
Yeah.
hear you clearly.
All
How are
right.
you doing
Very
today?
well. I'm good, thank you. Good to be here. So
Okay, that's
yeah.
that's great. Thank you for taking your time to, you know, join us today.
Pleasure is mine. Okay.
All right, great. So I believe we have Chizoba here with us now.
You can see me, right? Because my
No,
camera
not
is turned
yet.
on.
No, not yet. I
Okay,
can't.
maybe it's taking time. My
Yeah.
camera is turned on. My mic is turned on, so I can't see
Mm.
why it's not.
Okay, better.
All right.
Yes,
All
I
right.
can
Good.
see you now.
Good. Good.
Great. It's nice to see you, again, Chizoba.
Same here.
Okay, great.
Maybe it's up. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So once again, good morning and good afternoon to all our viewers. My name is Matthew Thomas, and I am the marketing manager for Student Connect Nigeria branch. And with me, of course, today is Chizoba Igweonu, the Regional Recruitment Manager for West Africa, who will be speaking to us today about the university and the amazing offers available to international students, of course. So, hello, Chizoba. Please, thank you for joining us. Kindly introduce yourself.
Okay, so hello Matthew. My name is Chizoba, or you can call me Chizzy for short. I am Regional Recruitment Manager for London South Bank University, and I oversee operations from the West African region. So that means I'm your contact person for all things London South Bank as it concerns the West African region. Of course, I'm here today with Student Connect, which are like our partners. They are, of course, they've got we are been in a long-standing partnership with them. So yeah,
Thank you
that's
so
it.
much,
Sorry
Chizoba.
about that.
Thank you so much. So, everyone, this is going to be a 30-minute session, which will be followed by a 10-minute questionnaire from our viewers. So, without any further ado, let's get more to knowing about LSBU. So, London South Bank University is one of our prestigious, partners, which is located in central London and home to many, many international students. So, Chizoba, why don't you, tell us more about London South Bank University, the campus, and the locations, of course.
Okay, so London South Bank University, of course, from the name, you can tell it's a British university. We're a British degree awarding university. And of course, from the name, you can tell it's located in London. But not just are we in London, we're in zone one of London, which means we are within the proximity of, like, we are that centrally located. Of course, we have, I mean, we're within this like a very strategically located position. We've got houses of parliament and so many key locations just around us. All right. And then like I had said before, we're a public university. We've been around for over 130 years. However, we gained our university status in the 1990s. And so for the purpose of grouping, we are grouped as a modern university. Modern universities are those universities in the UK that gained their university status sometime in the 1990s. So yeah, London South Bank University is one of those universities. Being around for that long means that we've got like a lot of experience when it comes to teaching. As such, you don't have any worries when it comes to maybe the quality of teaching you'll be getting. We've been there, done it, tested, tried, and of course reliable. So we have no worries about that. Then we are that university that believes on hands-on experience. So it's not enough to just give you a degree. We are not just we are not all about theoretical all the theoretical aspects, but we give you like a hands-on experience on your hands-on teaching. I mean hands-on experience alongside your teaching. So that means we are that university that prepares students or our students for get them ready for the workplace basically. So yeah, those are the that's just the brief introduction to us
How
as
many how
London
many
South Bank
campuses
University.
are there?
Okay, so we just have different teaching locations. However, we have like the campus is in London, the main campus is in London. So we have an Elephant and Castle campus, and then a Croydon campus. So the the southern campus is located at Elephant and Castle. Then we have another one in Croydon, but both of these locations are in London. So we are not like those universities. That's why we always say that we are that university that offers you like a campus style kind of like a one-stop shop kind of university where you have everything located in one place. We don't have to, maybe we are not like we are not littered all over for lack of a better word. So yes, that's it. We don't have like several campus locations everywhere. No, we are in London, but we have like the Croydon campus and the Southern campus. Okay.
Okay, that's great. So LSBU, the graduates from LSBU are known to have, the highest paid amongst all London modern universities 1 year after completing their course. So can you tell us about
Yes.
the employability options that are available to students who school in LSBU?
Okay, so firstly, the fact that we are located in London is a plus. You know that for London-based universities, you know how it is. Studying in a place like Central London, for example, means that you're right at the doorstep of opportunities. There, you have a lot of financial time and stock exchange companies set up offices in London. So when you're studying in a school like London South Bank University, you're already giving yourself like a step ahead of everyone in that you're already placing yourself, I mean, as a student, you're already placing yourself right at the doorstep of opportunities, right where it matters, right? So that's the first step. Then we have like an employability team whose job it is on campus to make sure that, okay, we keep our students informed about any happenings, like any developments that is going on basically we keep them up to date with anything that maybe employers might need. So all of these things are some of the reasons that have added up to the fact that our students often are not out of it, like they gain employment as soon as they're out of school. Then again, our courses have like a professional aspect to it. Like for most of our courses, you find out that they have like a chartered. We always have like accreditation to some professional bodies. For example, I'll give you an instance. For instance, most of our management courses, I'll give you, for example, international management, for example, we have that professional accreditation with CIMA. So things like that already help students, like give them, you're getting your degree and you're getting a professional accreditation, which means you're already kickstarting your profession at the end of your degree. So these are some of the reasons, some of the things, or some of the additions you get, or some of the perks you get if you study at London South Bank University. And that is, of course, the reason why most of our students are in employment within the first few years of completing education, and they even get the chance or the opportunity to get good paying jobs because, of course, you're taught how to negotiate, you're taught all those things. So yes, that's it.
All right, that's great. So in a case where a student wants to, take up a course to study in LSBU, what will you say are your popular courses and what's the basic application process like?
Okay, so for London South Bank University, I can tell you that anytime, any day, we are popular with our business courses. So we have a wide range of business-related courses, ranging from international human resource management to human resource management itself, to international business. To There are so many aspects to it that we offer at London South Bank University. So that's one. Then the application process is pretty straightforward. It's nothing to, quite straightforward. Of course, Student Connect, you are partners, so you can testify to that.
Yes,
What
it's
we
great.
need, I think we should be talking more about this. Yeah, I think we should talk more about the what our entry requirements entail. So basically, for you to get admission into most of our courses, we would want you to, because of course we all know Nigeria is a very, it's a postgraduate market. That's not to say that there is no interest for undergraduate courses as well. So for our
Very true.
postgraduate courses, yeah, for most of our postgraduate courses, the entry requirement is a minimum of two UK equivalents. Good thing is most UK and Nigerian universities have got, like, they are recognized by UK universities. London South Bank University is one of those universities that recognizes and accepts qualifications from Nigeria. So most qualifications from Nigeria are attempt to be at the same level to the UK qualification. So yes, most of our qualifications from here we accept, but then again, the minimum entry requirement is a 2-2. That means a third class would not fly. Then, of course, it's
Okay.
not enough to have met the bachelor's entry requirement. There's also the part of English proficiency requirement, because it's very important to show that you're proficient in English language. It is a requirement for all UK universities, irrespective of whether you're going to London South Bank University or you're going elsewhere. So you have to show that you're quite proficient in English because, of course, the language of teaching, communication, and everything is in English. And so we want to be sure that you're quite proficient in English before we make you that offer. So we'll normally accept a C6 minimum in WAEC or NECO, C6 minimum. That means if you have a B2, if you have an A1, if you have an A1, fantastic, but we accept that. Before now, we used to have like a cap, like a validity period on our English language. For instance, we used to say, oh, if you start WAEC 5 years ago, we will not accept it anymore. But we
Yeah.
are that university that is also like we're trying to build a brand, or we are that brand that is quite in tune, or trying to be in tune with what the market entails. And so some of those things we have had to take them out. We have had to review them and maybe take them out to make sure that, okay, we are not making things difficult for our for the market. And so we accept, basically what I'm saying with all of this is that we accept C6 minimum in English, okay, WAEC or NECO accepted, okay,
So
for English proficiency also.
is this the general
Entry
requirement,
requirement.
or yes, for English? Because that's we usually get that. So what's the general English requirement? That's the one you just mentioned, yeah?
Yeah, that's the basic one. So where
Okay.
in a situation where, or in a case where the student has not met that basic English language requirement, we'll now
Okay.
begin to think about what other English tests they need to take to prove that they are proficient in English. But I'm yet to find out if there's any students or anybody in Nigeria who did not take WAEC, for example, or it's like the basic, right? It's like O
Yeah,
level,
sure.
and almost everybody does it. So yes, that's it.
Okay. All right, that's great. So As we are aware, the January intake is upon us already. Most of the schools have, opened up applications. LSBU,
Yeah.
are your applications open for January 2024?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, we are. We've been
Okay,
open. In
okay.
fact, we received applications even before September intake was over. So yes, we are, and we are accepting applications for September 20.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
January
what are
20.
the key dates to remember in terms of, deadlines to submit applications, and how
Okay,
quick
okay.
do the offers come?
Okay, so for how quick offers come, I always like to that's a question I always like to throw back to our partner agents, okay? So that I mean sometimes when investors say, oh, we make sure that applications or offers are out in say 3 working days or maybe in 5 working days, our agents can actually concur to say, oh, it's true. But I can tell you that our turnaround time on applications used to be 3 weeks, but now it's shorter. You can make an application today, and in another 4 to 5 working days you get an offer. And I want to agree, I want to believe that Matthew, you must have
Yeah,
experienced that yourself, and I'm sure
yeah,
you would actually concur to what I'm saying or agree to what I'm
yes,
saying, that
yes.
our turnaround time is about 4 to 5 working days, so we are that fast, really.
That I am impressed about. That I am
Yeah.
impressed about.
Then in
So
terms of okay,
deadlines,
sorry.
yes,
Yeah,
deadlines. In
so for
terms of the
deadlines to
deadlines,
notes, deadlines to notes. Okay, I'll give you the deadline, then I'll say something else. So for our last application date is Friday the 3rd of November 2023. That is for January intake. The deadline to meet conditions, that's if you have any conditions at all in your office. Sometimes when we make applications and there are conditions here and there. So for instance, you can say, oh, submit maybe submit your WAEC, maybe person has submitted a statement of results, and we'll say submit official WAEC certificate or submit official degree completion certificate, or give us a reference letter that you've got in the recent 6 months before you applied. Those are common conditions that we always put on our offer letters. Then we have a deadline for meeting those conditions. That deadline is 17th of November 2023. Now, the deadline for us to receive the deposit of your payment is 24th of November 2023. Our CAS deadline for September 2024, sorry, January 2024 is 1st of December 2023. Now, these dates are what is obtainable now. If anything changes,
okay,
if anything
okay.
changes in the near future, be sure that I'm going to communicate same to you. But for now, this is what is obtainable. I would also like to throw in a line to say that we are one of those universities. You know how difficult it was for us for Nigerians, beginning of this year, to make payments from Nigeria. So we saw cases where from A would take as long as 3 months, longer than
Very
that,
true.
if and still in the end it wasn't remitted. So we
Yeah,
thought to ourselves as a university and we said, what can we do as an investor that is trying to be like we understand, basically we understand the unique challenges that applications or students from Nigeria face. So what we did was to come up with it, because before now we used to have like a deposit requirement for students from our region was 50% of the full fees. So I'll give you an instance. Say, for example, you're going for a master's degree course that is maybe £15,000. We need you to pay at least what's half of £15,000? That's about £7,500, right? But we reviewed that and we came up with the idea to for students to pay a deposit of £3,500 prior um prior getting their CAS. So that meant that if you pay £3,500, that is enough to get you a CAS. All right.
okay.
Now, and even let you arrive on campus. And then upon arrival, you're supposed to pay up the balance of your fees. So that is it. We are one of those few universities that accept that, and not just do we accept it. It's enough. It's enough. That £3,500 gets you to get your cars, and even if you're early, can arrive in the UK, settle in, and then pay up, because we know we need all the time to process Form A to do and all of that. So you pay that 3,500 while the Form A process is still going on, maybe behind the scenes or something, so that by the time the person arrives on campus, they already the what's it called now, the maybe by then the whole process of Form A would have been completed, and of course the money received by the university. So
How
yeah,
much is the student
that's
supposed to pay on enrollment?
So by enrollment, they're meant to pay 50% of their fees.
Okay.
But instead
Okay.
of paying 50% before you arrive, we are now saying you can arrive by paying 3,500. That's basically
Just with
it's
initial deposits.
in black and white. Yes, initial deposit of 3,500. Then when you have arrived or by enrollment, you pay up the balance of 50%. Then we have also we have split the balance of the fee into two. So we accept 25, 25. So you pay 25 percent of the 25%, that is 25, you pay
Mm-hmm.
20. So the balance is 50% now. So we have split it into two, 25, 25%. So 25% you're supposed to pay. See, I'll give an instance with someone who starts in September. So you arrive, by the time you arrive, you're supposed to have paid 50%, right? Then you have a
Yeah.
balance of 50%. Now
Yeah.
50% split into two. We will accept 25% by say November of the same year. Then the
Okay.
balance of the fee you should have paid by January 2024. So you see,
Mm.
we have that considerate.
That's a
We
great payment
have the
plan.
flexible payment plan, flexible
Yeah,
installment plan,
it's a
and all of
very
that.
flexible payment plan. All right, that's
Yeah.
great. So, one of the special questions we usually get from our students is scholarships.
I'm getting you
You
say
know,
special
it's,
question.
yeah, it's a very special question because we usually get these questions very
Of
often.
course,
So,
of
so
course,
are
of
there
course.
scholarships available, and what are the requirements for these scholarships?
Oh, okay,
And
Matthew,
also,
you're
are they
putting me
available for these January intakes?
you're
And
putting me on a hot spot. Okay, so
yes,
I'm always
it's
careful when I hear the word scholarship
scholarship.
because
Yeah,
yeah, I'm very careful. Scholarship is a good thing. Even almost everybody wants a scholarship, but I'm careful
true.
with the way I use the word because when you say scholarship, people are expecting a situation where the full fees are maybe the university just forfeits the full fees. I won't sit here
Mm,
and tell you that we have that kind of how do I put it? We have that kind of arrangement where we'll forfeit the full fees? The answer is
okay.
no. Oftentimes, what I tell students is if you want to get like, if you are a fully funded, if you're looking for a fully funded scholarship, there are so many scholarship awarding bodies. Unfortunately, we are not one of those scholarship awarding bodies. But as a university, what we have done, which is still a very good thing, I would say, is we have what we call a merit award scheme in place. So normally when you have students that have a 2-1 and above, they qualify for that merit award. So the merit discount or merit scholarship, quote and unquote as we call it, is about £3,000 knocked off of the full fees. So we knock off £3,000 the full fees. So for example, a student who is supposed to pay £14,000, we knock off £3,000 off. So you see it's tangible. In the end, they're having to pay £11,000.
Wow.
Okay, so that's what we have. And then the requirement or the criteria to it is 2-1 and above. If anything changes in the future, I'll let you know. I know that's
Okay.
okay. We might be talking, I might be asking, no, what can everybody benefit from? We don't have such a scheme where we have like something that everyone can benefit from, say maybe like a regional discount or something. No, we don't have that. But like I said, I always say, or I've promised, we are still having discussions. And if anything changes in the near
Sure.
future, be
Sure.
sure that I'll communicate same. Yeah.
That's fine. So, and this scholarship is available for the January intake, yeah?
Oh yes, it's always open. It's always open.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's great. So, I know
Yeah.
you've mentioned some CAS requirements, but tell us a bit about, the visa requirements.
So visa requirements is okay. So visa requirements is the same thing across board. So when we say visa requirements, I think that question is a bit bogus. But if I'll break it down a bit, I'll start with saying that our visa requirement is. I think I'll dwell more on CAS requirement because our visa requirement is the same across board. Every other university has the same requirement for visa, right? In that every university has to comply by the UKVI rules, UKVI standards in order to get a visa.
Okay.
Students, universities are accountable to the UK. Like it's a relationship where investors have to maintain, like have to make sure that they do the right thing, make sure you recruit credible students. So for visa requirements, our job is to make sure as an investor that we are recruiting credible students. We make sure that we meet the UKVI entry requirements where you have sufficient funds, 28 days, all documents provided, all documents are correct, accurately checked, and all of that. So that's the part of visa requirements. Now for cash requirements as an investor, because cash requirements vary across board. Different universities have different
Okay.
cash requirements. So for us, the first one is what I've mentioned. We need to receive your deposit payment. Okay, deposit of about £3,500. Then we have to, there are other documents we need to check to be sure that they're in place. We normally would like to see your bank statement that has completed 28 days, has held sufficient funds for 28 days. We like to see that. We also like to see a negative UKTB certificate, the test, the IIM test now.
Yes,
So we always
yes.
like to see that. Any other thing at all, if you've had a visa refusal before, whatever, we need to know, because visa refusals are important. If they border around credibility, we want to know. If they are generic, we want to know, because of
But if a
course no
student
university
has
wants.
visa refusal, they can still apply, yeah?
So that's the thing. You can apply, but it depends on the reason why. Most universities will sponsor. You can't just apply if the university does not sponsor you for a visa, right? So most universities want to be sure that the reason why a student was refused the visa they had, the visa refusal they have, does not bother around credibility. Do you understand? So so most of the time we want to see the refusal to see what it says. We want to read it in fine print to see that we will not be in trouble if we sponsor you. So that's the thing. So we don't have any reservations against visa refusal, but we want to see and know the reason for the refusal before we know what we're getting into. We don't want a situation maybe where students have falsified documents and all of that. Is always a problem. Okay. So, but when the visa refusal is quite straight, maybe there's an outstanding document, maybe the student forgot to submit something when they applied the first time. Of course, we have nothing. Our job is to make sure that by the time you're applying this time around with us, we have checked all your documents and everything is correct, everything is in order, and we won't have any problems, and you won't have any problems either. So yeah, that's it. So for cash, I think I was still talking about the cash requirements. We want to
Yeah,
see those. Want to see, yeah. So we want to see that you have a negative TB test. We want to see that you have a bank statement that has completed 28 days. Funds are intact. Funds are rightly presented. Okay. Name is the same as featured on, like, the name, whoever is, if it's your dad, if it's parent sponsorship, of course, other supporting documents. We want to see all of that. Then we have what we call the pre-cast interview. Oftentimes when people cringe when they hear a precast interview, but I say to students that for us at LSBU, I don't think it's something, personally I even love interviews because it gives you the chance to sort of sell yourself and give a lasting impression about yourself in the minds of the interviewers. So for us at LSB, it's important to note or to state that our interviews are not punitive. If anything, they are preparatory at best. So we want to just prepare you to see that, oh, you're ready, want to see that you're credible, want to see, and they're not even anything out of the usual. Of course, a credible student should have some basic idea or knowledge about what they want to do, right? That is a
correct.
credible student. Yeah. So
Correct.
that's actually what our interview is about, really. Nothing to worry
Okay.
about.
Okay, that's great. I believe this was very informative, session. So we have a few comments from our students. They are more or less like questions as well. So we'll be
Okay.
throwing them out soon, so you could, answer some of them for us. Okay,
Okay,
all
sure.
right, that's great. So I think we have answered some of them already during the session, but I have one here. Okay,
Okay.
which I think is a very popular one. So it says here,
I can see the
yeah,
question.
yeah, you've seen it, yeah?
I was expecting these sorts of questions.
Yeah.
So, is there any master's program LSB offers where students can bring their dependents with? We have a lot of master's degree programs where you can bring your dependents. Okay. However, it's not even an LSBU thing. I know where this question is going. We all know that from next year, the whole post study work thing is not going away, but there are modifications to it. Okay. Now you have to go to the university, complete your course, get a job before your dependents can come. So that still applies to LSB. We know that there are some courses where maybe like masters by research, those kinds of courses you can bring your dependents to. For January, we don't have those courses in January. We have them. We have a few of them in September. Okay, so that's the much I can say regarding that. Okay, we have a lot of courses where you can bring your dependents to. However, we are bound by UKVR rules whereby you now have to complete your course before your dependents can come. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. So we'll move to the next question.
Is there any YX score acceptance validity for undergraduate and postgraduate program? Is there any WAEC score acceptance? I'm not sure I understand this question, but Matthew, can you maybe break
Yeah,
it
I can hear
down?
you.
I'm not
So
sure I
they're
understand
asking,
all
is
this.
there any WAEC score acceptance for undergraduate and postgraduate programs? So I think if this is not the minimum requirements for WAEC,
Sorry?
the minimum requirements for you to have your WAEC for English, you said C6, yeah?
Yeah, I think I've answered that question. So that's why I'm not sure. Okay, so it say, is there any YX score acceptance validity for undergraduate? And
And
okay, so for
postgraduate.
validity, there is no, like I mentioned, we don't have any cap or any for YX or NECO. Okay,
Okay,
so I think that's answered. Then,
okay,
is there any YX score? Not sure I understand. So yeah, I think we said C6 minimum. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So we have another question here.
Okay. So it says how many years study gap are usually accepted for postgraduate courses. Okay, so for postgraduate courses, we don't have like a gap year per se. We don't have, for example, we wouldn't say that there's a shelf life for how long we expect you to have got your maybe obtained your degree or something. No, we don't do that. What matters most is if there is a gap year, how do you explain that gap year, for example? Because of course everything is sort of tuned into, we have to make sure that everything is, because this market, like we all know, is first of all it's a postgraduate market. Secondly, there are lots of factors that come into play that makes it almost difficult for people to be able to progress after they have graduated from maybe secondary school or high school or something. And so we don't use that against them. So what we want to see is what the progression has been after the person has finished, maybe if there's a gap year. So for instance, if you graduated from university say 5 years ago or 6 years ago, what have you been doing in those 6 years? Have you just been sitting around at home? Have you got any professional have you done any additional professional courses? Or have you maybe do you have any work experience that is related to the course you want to go study? So being able to bridge that gap, being able to explain what you're doing in that gap year is what is more important to us than maybe having a gap year. So we don't have any qualms. I've seen people who graduated 10 years ago who are going for their masters right now. The reason we give them that, because it's the job of admissions team to make sure that, okay, if there are any gaps, they are clearly explained. So even if UKVI calls you up tomorrow to say what have you been doing since you graduated, you are able to show clearly what you have been doing. So yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
All right. So we have another question here as well.
What master's program can a student with no health background use to transition into the health industry? No health background, and you want to transition to the health industry. Now, there's no problem with wanting to transition. It's absolutely fine. But what I'll always advise people with this sort of qualification, this sort of case now is try to, there's job, you need to do something on your own parts. Okay, so that, I mean, if I was admissions, for instance, because I know I've worked in admissions and I know how it can be, if at the point of assessing your application and all I see is maybe you have like a business related qualification and you want to just go to and maybe let's say you obtained your bachelor's degree in business management, say maybe 5 years ago, and you just want to switch to health, it will raise an eyebrow. I'll flag it. Do you understand? I'll be like, why? So what you can do on your part before you apply is make sure that, similar to what I was saying before, okay, if you have an interest in transitioning into the health industry, why not take some short courses, okay, so that you can actually add them into your CV here and there. I think if you take some short courses that are health related, it will help you in, first of all, in how your application is even assessed in the first place. So yeah, that's
Okay. I
for
think
but
you've
for
answered the question pretty
yeah,
much close to
yeah.
this in terms of scholarship available to international students.
Okay, please, what scholarship do you have available for international, especially first class students? Okay, I think I mentioned that initially. So, what we have available is what we call the merit scholarship. okay, or merit, yeah, merit or scholarship or merit discount kind of, where I mentioned that we offer £3,000 upfront to students that have 2-1 and above. So and above includes those with the first class, and yeah, I don't think there's any other class higher than first class is there. So it's a 2-1 first class. So you get £3,000 immediately. Our admissions team, they've already, like I said, we understand the qualifications from Nigeria. So when the student is
Yeah.
coming with a 2-1 equivalent of a UK British degree, we apply that scholarship right at the point of application. So instead of saying pay maybe £15,000, you get an offer that says your cost is £15,000. You've got a discount of £3,000. So that means that your tuition is now payable tuition will now be how much? 11,000. No, yeah, 11,000. So 15 deduct 3,000, that's about £12,000. So that is what is available and obtainable now. Like I
So
said,
nothing
Matthew, if
for second class students.
second class today, there are two classes in second class. So Matthew, don't put me on a hot seat.
Yeah,
There
that's
is a
fine.
2-1, then there's a
That's
2-2.
fine. That's
So the
fine.
two
That's
one
fine.
is
So
the ones that
allow
we,
us.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. So let's just take
Okay.
one more question.
Okay.
Yes. So it says, is there any bias in accepting students for a second master's program?
Good. I love these kinds of questions. Do you know why? Because we already know what the rules are, but we want to see how we can play around the rules, which is
Mm,
good. Now we already know that for anything visa applications, you need to be able to show progression clearly. So, for example, if you've had a master's in the UK before and you want to go for another master's, in the eyes of admissions, it looks like there's no progression. You have a master's and you're going for another master's. Again, this is where the student has a lot to do, or has a lot. There's a lot to do with the student. So now you need to show us. We have no bias against it, okay? But we are also always careful. Universities, no university wants to lose their license because we have is the UKVI that had given us the license to recruit students. So we want to make sure that everything we are doing is within the rules of the UKVI. So you have to make sure that you're able to show progression. So, for instance, I'll give you a classic example. So,
okay.
let's say a student has a master's degree in, um, let me think of something. So, let's say you have a master's degree in maybe computer science, for example. Maybe the master's was obtained in a UK university, say maybe London South Bank University, and it's been 3 years since you obtained this degree, and 3 years after you want to come back for another master's, and this time around you're applying for maybe masters in data science or maybe masters in computer programming or something. If you make that application in the first place, it just seems like, oh, this person is just getting a, maybe they just want to use this as an avenue to leave their country because I don't see progression. Do you understand?
Yeah,
But
you
if,
have it.
for
Yeah.
example, yeah, if for instance you're applying for computer science, but that's not to say that it's not possible. It also depends on how the student is able to make a case for themselves. So, but if you've got a master's in computer science and then you're going for an MBA, which is another master's, that is clear progression, because you're now MBA is like, as they say, like it's the mother of all masters. So in the end, if you want to go for maybe from computer science to MBA, it looks and sounds like a progression. We have no qualms against that most of the time. But again, you have to explain why you need this MBA right now. You have to feel like for most schools, we have like an academic progression form. You tell us why this course is important to you right now. Even from when you're filling your personal statement, you need to explain why you now need this masters. You have a masters before from the UK and you want to come for another masters. The reason why these things are important is because there is like a cap. Oftentimes there are visa caps where we have to be sure that okay, this thing is deserving of this, then deserves another sponsorship before we can say, oh, we're willing to sponsor. So it's important to understand these things. We have no bias against it. However, our students need to explain why they need this masters. And we need to also see from the point of admission that there is a progression somewhere between the previous masters and the master that they want to do right now. So yeah, that's how I would answer that question.
All right. Thank you so much, Chizoba.
Thanks.
It has been an informative session. It has really been great. So I don't think we have any more questions. So we have come to the end of the live session, everybody. I really appreciate you all for joining in. Chizoba, before you go, do you have any final comments or remarks you would like to share?
All right. Not really, but what I would say is that for all the people on the live on this live session, I would recommend that I would say please send in those applications now while there's still time. And you can always do that through Student Connect because of course Student Connect are our partner agents and we work hand in hand with them. So you're in safe hands applying via Student Connect. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thanks for the
All
time,
right,
for your
thank
time,
you
Martin.
so much. Thank you so much, Chizoba. So everybody, if you're looking into the January 2024 intake, LSBU, they are open. So start sending your applications in and let's push them in for you. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so
Yeah.
much from us
Thank
here. Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.